Be honest. Would you leave your house without fixing your face first? Do you dress for yourself or for how others perceive you? Let's talk about this. Welcome to Women Talk. I'm Nadia Heng, your host, and I'm very excited to be here today because we have a very interesting topic. Now, from social media to the workplace, women are constantly reminded to look polished, youthful, presentable. And of course, when it comes to Malaysia, 70% of beauty consumers are discovering beauty trends on Instagram and TikTok. And 40% of these consumers are constantly feeling pressured to adhere and keep up with these beauty trends online. So here to talk about all of this and more, I have two very special guests in the studio. Say hello to Helen Toy, who is a fashion business owner. Helen, I am a big fan, by the way. And also joining us, we have Tanita Gill, who is a lawyer and managing partner at a law firm. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us, Nadia.
Thank you so much for being here. So this is a topic I'm sure is going to resonate with many women who are watching today. And I want to ask both of you the same question. Do you feel like today women are faced with increasing, in fact, probably the most amount of pressure ever to continuously adhere to the beauty standards? And quite frankly, do you find it's empowering or is it simply exhausting? Tanita.
I think that it goes both ways. It is empowering because right now, in this day and age, we are more free to determine what beauty means to us. At the same time, I feel like because of how things have also evolved, where social media plays a big part of everyone's life, you know, everyone is just looking at filtered perfection, right? And you know what beauty standard is supposed to be. There's so much of this content that's being placed out there. I feel like when you look at the filtered perfection that is being put out there, you feel pressured to meet that standard, you know, to look good, to have the best profession, you know, like professionally you're doing your best, and then family life, everything has to be tip-top, your relationships have to be excellent, all that while looking perfect. So I feel like, yeah, there is some empowerment to the fact that they are able to determine, you know, what beauty is to them. But at the same time, you definitely do have that pressure there.
As a woman, we can explore the possibility of the creativity in, you know, how we want to dress up, you know, how we want to, you know, a lot of makeups that we can also try on. I think social media has a lot of positive effects in that way as well. But at the same time, it actually boils down to how we actually see this. I think we can only strike a healthy balance when we dress up for ourselves instead of we feel that we owe it to the society. So I feel that, you know, it has to be a balance between how we view this in terms of, you know, we want to look beautiful for ourselves, not for anyone else.
Well, Helen, do you feel with social media in the play that this has actually changed how you compare yourself with others? And do you think that's also maybe redefined how we define beauty?
I think to me, yes, but in a good way, because previously how I view other women is through magazines and TV. So eventually at that time, seriously, I thought that that's how celebrities actually look like. But now there's more transparency when there's social media. I know that, oh, even celebrities have pores, have acne. So to me, I feel that's a good thing that I know that that's all filters. So every woman has problems such as acne, and we do put on makeup, we do put on filters as well. So that's the positive part. But at the same time, there's also some negative impact as well in terms of, you know, there's these beauty standards that us women has to meet in order to be viewed in a certain way. But I feel that it's actually how we actually see this in order to bring the benefits to our own self.
But as you pointed out, the constructive part is that you also see everyone's flaws, which makes everything also a lot more real.
Yes, I think a lot of, you know, a lot of celebrities and influencers are also like being more transparent.
Yeah.
Because that's what, you know, that's what people want to see. more transparency, more realness in social media as well. That's the trend. The trend is from being polished to like raw and authentic right now. I think that's where the trend of beauty and fashion is going to.
I love that, and bring it on, right? More transparency, more unfiltered social media posts. Tanita, I want to ask you about the high-stakes work environment for women. You know, why is it that appearance and confidence are so connected emotionally and strategically to some women?
Whether you like it or not, physical appearance does matter, you know, in the professional setting. And it is because when, you know, obviously, when you look good, you feel good. And not only that, the people that you're engaging with, they also have got a better first impression of you. And somehow they feel like you are better at conducting your work. However, let's talk about the essence of it. It comes down to whether or not you are responsible, whether or not you've got substance, whether or not you've got discipline. So you may look good, but if you do not have that core, that substance with you, the caliber with you, the discipline and whatnot, you are not going to hold that respect for very long, right? So at the end of the day, yes, looking good is part of the profession, I feel, especially coming from a law, you know, being a lawyer. When you dress well, you feel more confident in boardrooms, courtrooms, meeting rooms. You know, you just carry yourself out a bit better. But that being said, having a good character, that takes you a long way. It's not just about looks, it's about character as well.
I love that. Well, we're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere because we'll be right back after this. You're here with me, Nadia Heng, on Women Talk, and we are back with Helen Toy and Tanita Gill in the studio, and we are talking about beauty. Now, research has actually shown that appearances can shape opportunities, perception, and confidence. And there's also been some studies that have analyzed the workplace dynamics and how actually more and more women are seeing our appearance as something that we can strategically use to our advantage. So, ladies, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Do you think something called pretty privileges actually exists? Helen?
Pretty doesn't mean she look in a certain way, but in a way that how she brings out herself, how she takes care of her hair, her face, her body, externally and internally as well. So I feel the privilege is actually earned. And then, of course, it shows what you're actually doing. Somebody, you know, shows what you're actually sacrificing to have that beauty and also the outer appearance as well. So I think beauty privilege is real, and somebody actually, and I think it is true that, you know, when you look good, it also reflects how you feel inside as well. You're confident, you have substance, you have strength, and beauty on the external can only bring you so far, but when you also have substance and you're confident inside, it can take you very, very far.
Tanita, what about you? Do you think this is actually a thing?
Most definitely. I do believe that pretty privilege exists. Of course, it probably opens the door easier, faster. However, it comes also with its sets of pressure. Meaning to say, you can look good, but automatically someone may judge you as, are you really that intelligent? You know, you may look good on the outside, but are you really that intelligent? So it will come with its sets of pressure, but as I agree with Helen that it does exist and it can do wonderful things, but however, at the end of the day, it is your core character that would sustain, you know, that would leave a lasting impression.
And do you also think it's important for us to know when to look the part for people to take us seriously, you know, whether it's socially or in the professional setting?
I think it's definitely, we do not have to be ashamed of the amount of time that we spend. It's actually a part of self-care, you know, considering that how much you're hustling in work, because women nowadays, we wear many hats. We are a mom, we are working professionals, you know, we study, you know, we're also tending of our husband, our kids. So I think it's actually part of self-care that we actually take the responsibility to take care of ourselves, you know, make sure that we are peace, we are calm. You know, it will be healthy if, you know, we are taking care of our beauty when it is just for us, not for anybody else. You know, at the same time, you know, taking care of yourself doesn't necessarily mean just on the external part. It also can mean that, you know, you are taking care of, you know, gaining knowledge, you know, you're feeding your inner beauty, you know, you're feeding your inner confidence, your inner strength, and of course it will actually show on the outside. And of course, you know, being active in fitness as well is also very, very important. So I think all women should actually do not feel ashamed of taking care of yourself and want to look beautiful.
Absolutely, beautifully said, Helen. Tanita, I want to ask you this. Do you think that, you know, having this polished exterior is something that actually can build our internal confidence? Or do you think it stems from something a lot deeper that's got nothing to do with our external appearance?
Definitely, I do think that when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you project some sort of confidence. And I've seen it with myself time and time again. You know, even if I'm having a bad day, you know, just looking good, feeling good, it actually helps me, you know, get through the day and, you know, carry out my task and feel good at the end of the day. Even if I'm not well, I still feel well when I look good, you know. So that is something that really helps me a lot. And I do think that it's not wrong. I think it's not wrong, and it's a great thing to look good. And if at the end of the day, if that is what makes you feel good, you know, what does looking good feel to you? You know, some people, they just like that minimalistic look. You know, they just like that makeup, no makeup. Some people, they are into the makeup, you know. So if that feels good to you, I think that it would enhance and it would bring out the best in someone. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Helen, you're nodding your head. I feel like we're all on the same page with this. And it's about defining what it is that makes you feel good. Someone's definition of beauty and looking polished on the exterior could be very different from another person.
Right.
All right. Well, ladies, I want to ask you this. This is something which is quite interesting. You know, studies have actually shown that when it comes to social media influencers or the social media culture, this has actually created a lot of pressure on beauty consumers, right? And when it comes to their purchasing behavior. So to which point would you say is this constant need for self-improvement to make ourselves look more beautiful, more confident, to what point is this actually unhealthy pressure, if any?
I think the danger is when you feel pressure, you feel that stress, you feel when you feel that every day you have to do something about your body or your face in order to be like somebody else. Because eventually beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Because I have a daughter myself, so I do not want her to, you know, feel pressure to actually meet up to certain beauty standards that is very unreal. So it is very important that every ladies or girls out there actually know that there's no certain standard of beauty. Just be comfortable in your skin. The most important part is you have to feed your inner knowledge. You know, feed your brain. You have to feed your brain, and of course, keep yourself healthy. Keep yourself healthy, and then eat properly. Eventually, you will look really, really good on the outside.
Tanita, I want to hear your thoughts after this, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Women Talk. Here in the studio, I have Tanita and Helen with me, and we're picking up where we left off. Tanita, I was asking you earlier about how, you know, when it comes to social influencer credibility and the whole social media culture, this has really skewed how beauty consumers are, you know, changing their purchase behavior. So to what point do you feel like all these self-improvements, these things that we buy into, to what degree does it become unhealthy pressure?
Yeah. So I feel like, following up to Ellen's explanation, I feel like at the end of the day, don't lose your self-identity, because that's very important. People tend to see all this content on social media and they kind of like lose their, like what is their self-identity. And I feel like that's a dangerous place to go, because everyone is different. Everyone's exterior is different. Everyone's personal preference is different. So I feel like at the end of the day, women should not lose sight of that. So if you find yourself just like, getting into this bandwagon of trying to look a certain way, trying to fix your smile a certain way, trying to fix your hair a certain way, all this, you've got all these plastic surgeries and how people are looking a certain way and feeling, or even losing weight to a certain degree that it's unhealthy. So I think that everyone needs to take a step back, identify what it means to be yourself, what it means to be unique, and enhance that. Enhancement is great. Enhancement of that beauty is excellent, and I think that we should be all for that enhancement. But changing yourself a certain way, totally not being yourself, not looking yourself, I think that is where it can get a little bit unhealthy. Yeah.
I could not agree more, which leads me into this, right? I think experts have also warned us that all of these, as you mentioned, these perfect beauty standards that we see online have created a lot of, issues that affect women's self-esteem, our emotional state of being. So ladies, I want to ask you both this question. Why do you think it is that society is so obsessed with placing an emphasis on our physical appearance? Tanita?
I think as women, we want to be heard, felt, and we want our presence to be felt. So with that, when you look at social media, you tend to think, oh, maybe if I look this way, maybe if my hair is like that, maybe if I talk this way, I'm going to, command some attention. I think it is because of that perception that women feel that way, and that is not wrong. I can understand why that would be the first instance of what anybody would feel when they, are projected with all this kind of content of how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to behave, how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to talk, right? But at the end of the day, there is some beauty in our uniqueness. And yes, there are certain mannerisms which is important for us to catch on to. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to distinguish, what is a mannerism, what is the right thing to do, but what is also something that is going to take away from your uniqueness. You do not want to go there.
Actually, I do agree on what Tanita has been saying. I actually have been through that myself as well. I've been really obsessed with how I want my face to look, how I want my hair to look like. That was like a few years ago, but eventually I find that when you work towards things that you can control, because beauty you cannot control, beauty eventually fades, Right. Even you're beautiful today, there's more people who are more beautiful than you, and eventually beauty fades. But if I actually work on myself, keep on reading my knowledge, my work, my goals, eventually I'll forget about how I look. Right? When you're busy working on your goals, when you're busy building things that you want to build your vision, eventually beauty doesn't seem so important anymore. It's just like a small grain on a big ocean, right? So I think to anyone out there who's listening, right, especially girls, beauty is just like beauty actually fades, Belief and also beauty can differ in eyes of beholder. It actually, what's beautiful to one person might not be beautiful to another person. So build something that you can actually control, Build your knowledge, build your kindness, empathy, how you actually spread your kindness towards other people. That's how your beauty can actually shine through.
I could not agree more. Beautifully said again, Helen. What tips, ladies, if any, as we end on this final question, do you have for all the women out there? How can we actually really understand and reflect on our self-worth without worrying about getting any validation from people out there?
I think self-content, the first thing you can do is change your mindset. Mindset is very important. Mindset, when you are of that mindset and you tell yourself positive affirmation every single day, like, Tanita, you look good today, you're confident, it's going to be a good day, it's going to be a great day, for instance, It really can change the way you look at things, every day, positive affirmation of yourself, of your beauty, of your uniqueness.
I love that.
Right?
Helen, how do you establish your self-worth personally in your own experience?
To me, I find the most effective and cheapest way for me to feel good about myself is definitely going to the gym, working out, getting a sweat or two. And eventually I feel good, I look good, and of course, like what Tanita mentioned, building our inner depth, compassion, empathy, and also do not forget to serve the community. I think by focusing on that instead of trying to change how you look, which you totally cannot do anything about it. So shift your focus to what you can change instead. I think that will help us to go a very long way.
Well, ladies, it has been a wonderful discussion, taking a look at your points of view when it comes to beauty, and I really hope that this resonates with all of you who are watching. I think some of the biggest takeaways I definitely have from this is realigning, understanding who you are as a person. That will help you define and have that freedom to define your own version of beauty and what that means to you, and hence then deciding on your own self-worth and not letting anyone else define that for you. Well, if you loved this discussion, please do engage with us, comment, show us some love on our social media. You can follow us at Women Talk TV3 or TV3 Malaysia. And with that, stay tuned for our next episode with more exciting topics like this. Thank you so much, Tanita. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
Take care and goodbye.